July 18th in the year of our Lord 2021, the 8th Sunday after Pentecost. Here now, 3 verses from chapter 6 of Mark's Gospel, 30 through 32. The apostles gathered around Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. I should like to pair with this reading from the Gospel, this reading from the Old Testament, the first book of our Bible, Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. And for a title, please consider a very simple, single word: rest. 2 weeks ago, we learned that Jesus gave his apostles authority over unclean spirits. He imparted to them power to heal the sick. He imbued them with eloquence to speak in a way befitting the presence of God. He armed them in fearlessness and sent them on their way to work an extraordinary transformation in the lives of the people they encountered. Their material supplies were simple at best: a pair of sandals, but no vehicle, one tunic, but no luggage, and a walking stick, but no sword or shield. It seems that their spiritual preparations, the content of their message, and their practice of healing the sick and blessing the possessed had returned in impressive bounty, for upon their return from their first foray, they were eager and breathless to share with Jesus all that they had accomplished. "Jesus, we told the demons to come out from the poor bedeviled souls in your name. And it worked. Jesus, we told those at death's door to be healed of their affliction upon the call of your name. Ooh, and they were cured. Jesus, we preached to people that the kingdom of God had drawn near and that a man named Jesus was the sign and herald of its occurring. And they believed and were converted." These apostles, boy, were really excited. Mark's gospel has the same breathless, rapid pace, the sense of urgency commanding the good news be told in a hurry. Or to use Mark's favorite word, immediately. Mark's gospel is told at such a clip, with incident crowding on incident so quickly, that the readers and the hearers fail to catch the internal connections and nuances that provide for depth, clarity, and genuine understanding of Mark's narrative. So, I recommend we slow things down just a bit to notice what your ear may have failed to have heard. It is the only direct quote of what Jesus said to his disciples that we can find in the entire passage. Listen, this is Jesus. "Come away to a deserted place, all by yourselves, and rest a while." End of quote. Now, I want to ask you to think about what you just heard. Did you hear how many different breaks there were in the prescription that Jesus gave his apostles? For my part, I just want to say, I hear you, Jesus. I hear you. For consider this. We did our best to ward off COVID-19 all this past year, but the pandemic has subsided only to have found a new host among the stubborn, the witless, and the reckless. We went to the polls last November, all across the nation in record numbers too, historically record numbers, only to witness now the return to an oppressive time before 1965, when the Voting Rights Act was first signed into law. That struggle is upon us once more. It is far from over and will become more heated as the summer rolls on, sadly. The call for justice as the sole end of law is constantly subverted through the enactment of unjust laws to enshrine the privilege of the few at the expense of the many. Protests on behalf of much-needed reforms in our criminal justice system requires the attention of every citizen and every child of God. Racism is a stealthy monster that slinks and slithers with a fierce and cunning ingenuity to make its victims guilty of what? Of racism. Am I the only one that sees this? The culture wars are renewed day by day and even year by year, however much we may wage them for the sake of righteousness. They're still with us. We have been so caught up with all these matters, national turmoils and private anxieties, so many trials and tribulations, and perhaps fewer triumphs and victories, that surely Jesus can see in us what he discerned in his apostles from ancient Galilee. We are spent. For my part, I have had enough and I just can't take anymore. Not now. Not even one more fleeting moment can I take. Jesus knows we're tired, that we're exhausted, worn out, and frazzled. And in his divine wisdom, he prescribes a fine-tuned remedy for our depleted circumstances. We need respite, self-care, relaxation, play, and recreation. We are in need of a vacation, to put it simply. Rest is the order of the day. Pay particular attention to Jesus' very specific instruction that his apostles are to come away, which underscores a movement of separation from all that Jesus has sent them to do in the first place. Come away from the hurly-burly of the everyday, from the wear and tear and the shocks and stress of the daily round of bustling business, in the boorish buffoonery of the bobble-headed bullies. Come away from sickness and death, away from chasing devils and hunting down demons. These labors will wear you down and empty you of sauce and strength. When you stop to catch your breath, you will discover you have no breath to catch. So where at first Jesus sent his fledgling apostles headlong into the thick fold of bleating sheep, here now he calls them to retire from their labors and to seek out a deserted place, a place to which the sheep may not follow. This is the place of quiet and reserve, of time to reflect and to commune silently with the God who made the heavens and the earth. This is the time to count the stars overhead and to listen to the music of the soft, slow-running water brooks, to lay on smooth spreading clover and to feel the kiss of the early morning lake breeze against one's cheek. This is a deserted place because it is absent the teeming others to whom our ministry is directed. If a pastor ever tells me that he took a cruise with his congregation for his vacation, I am well assured he took no vacation at all. The deserted place is deserted only because there be no other persons there. And if this is still not clear, Jesus is careful to be even more precise, stipulating that when the disciples come away to a deserted place, they should do so all by themselves. Do not bring the work. Do not bring the cell phone. Do not bring the computer. Do not take the briefcase, the vestments, or your holy orders. And please, 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 do not bring that infernal tick, 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 ticking clock to mark how you have spent the time. Otherwise, you may be made anxious over what has been left undone. Slip the chains to your investments, your portfolio, your plans, your projects, your innumerable to-do lists, and go all by yourself. Where? To a deserted place. I have such a place in mind right now, but I'm not going to tell any of you about it. The wisdom Jesus has about the need for rest is human and divine all at once. For in many instances throughout the Gospels, we see Jesus taking time to sup and time to slumber. We see him pull himself away into solitude, and we watch as he quiets himself in the face of so many tasks when he climbs into the mountains to fill his lungs with the brisk, thin rush of air. He sleeps on land, and he is restored to exercise his noble purpose once more. He sleeps at sea, and he is so still it inspires the storms to shout no more. Jesus was a good steward of his natural gifts and graces, and a caretaker for his supernatural energies and powers because he took time to rest. But rest is not only a human necessity, it is a divine prerogative and privilege if we but begin where and when the whole creation took shape and bearing. That creation was so primordial that there was no when and nowhere. To say the beginning or in the beginning is but a marker for our feeble imagining of God bringing space and time into being. Before ever there were minutes or hours or eras or eons, and before ever there was a here or a there, creation alone would make time and space possible. In our great and wondrous origin story of the universe, God establishes its pillars and its foundations by dividing the day and the night. The story itself is conditioned by this creation, for without the ordering of time, in cycles and rhythms, a story simply cannot be told. Without the coming in and the going out, without the space in which to do either, there is no movement that a story might report. But God makes space. He makes spaces by separating out the firmament above from the firmament below. Creation is the division of day and night and seasons too. Creation is the division of geography into lands and seas, the sky overhead and the earth down below. Without these divisions, life will not occur, but God did make it so. The waters were filled with living things, and the lands brought forth vine and tree and plant and crop and crawling, climbing, running beasts of every kind. The sky became the habitat and the sporting place of winged birds and insects too. And when day and night exchanged their right of place 6 times. Our glorious tale of mighty labor says God looked upon all God had made, and God declared it all good. From snake to bat, from tadpole to human, and especially 2 of my personal favorites, from whale to elephant. God set aside that last incomparable day as a day of rest, and of all the days God had blessed, that one alone he pronounced hallowed. God's day of rest is a holy day, and we are commanded to keep it as a sacred calling to recreate. Listen carefully to that word and weigh its whole significance against your daily grind of money making and worthless distractions with mounting worries, duties, assignments, and responsibilities. You need, I need, we all need recreation. The time to recreate ourselves, our sense of place within the whole created order of time and space, a time for leisure, and a space for play, and just plain slumbering through the day in a hammock stretched between 2 palm trees, gently swaying as the white surf from a clear blue sea washes over the smooth beige sands of a deserted island. Sun-kissed and serene. I need a vacation. Bring me a pina colada and go away again. Please. I need a vacation. God rested the 7th day. God grant me, please, a span of 7 days, and I'll rest too. After all, resting is human and resting is divine. Don't you need a vacation? Come away to a deserted place all by yourself and rest a while. Amen.